called Chunty.
Hello, welcome to April 25th of 2021, whatever year we're in. Yeah, episode 36, almost said 26. Got off to a good start today. Look, this is attempt number 2 of this video. I was literally halfway through, man, and my computer just shut itself and shut down. Don't know what the hell was going on there, but anyway, we will persevere, shall we? Yes. I'm your host, as always, Uncle Chunt, talking head from Down Under, budding comic book creator and man in the middle. Before we begin, if you were being so kind, could you please consider joining the Chump Corps? And, check out the links below, unclechunt.com, all the socials, and blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, for today, we're going to try and keep it a bit shorter today because last week's was quite long because I just came back from a couple of weeks off. But this week, there hasn't really been much really I want to talk about and go over. So I've got some notes here. We've got the Ask Chunt. We've got my Mortal Kombat thoughts. I saw that last night. So I do have some thoughts on that. And Falcon Winter Soldier finished. And what do I think of that? So, before we get forward, I hope you're all well and doing smashingly this weekend. And let's just hook right in and you can return back to your day and evening or wherever you are in your part of the world. Ask Chunt. Now, how can you get on Ask Chunt? So all you need to do is either leave a comment below in my videos or do a hashtag Ask Chunt and tag me in it at Uncle Chunt. And I'll find it on Instagram or Twitter. Probably Twitter is probably good. But I always check my comments on my videos for any comments that you guys leave that I could use for an Ask Chunt. And keep an eye on my YouTube's social feed as well. I'm also like posting, voting things on there or photos or questions, whatever that you might want to know, or changes that I'm doing here. So there's all this kind of stuff, blah, blah, blah. So today's Ask Chunt comes from Hyrule is Evil, which, I mean, with all due respect, is a certain point of view. I would love to hear your take on the Fable series, darling. I don't think I've ever asked about your opinion on the good and bad of the series. I enjoyed the trilogy, but I'm also very aware that some people don't care much for Fable 3. Thank you in advance, Triple X. Cool. All right, so what do I think of Fable? Well, before we do that, if you don't know what Fable is, this is the game cover from the first game. Way back in 2001, I think, on the original Xbox, this series came out and just got a massive fan base pretty much straight away. And it spawned multiple sequels inside sequels, what do you call them? Spin-offs. And, the 360 era had multiple games on it, and there was a Kinect version. And I think they were developing asymmetric multiplayer game that got cancelled because nobody liked it. But it's an RPG, right? It's a Western RPG. It's a third-person view. It's not first-person like most Western RPGs are. It's very British in its humor and execution and storytelling. It's very fairy tale-esque, like lots of magic and wizardry and fancy books and whatever else. I think the humor is the biggest attraction to this game, besides the story and some of the game mechanics in it. It's a very good series. Now, what do I think of the series? All right, so the first one I played in one night at a mate's place. We had like an Xbox LAN party one night. I basically took over one of the stations and just played through the Fable story from go to woe. And it was very, very good. And I got a different ending or whatever to my mate, who's like, wow, that's cool, you got a different ending. So there are different choices to be made, and you can be the good side or the bad side. And you can go from there, doing side quests and whatever for townspeople. Fable, almost said Fable. Fable? Oh my god, almost said Halo and Fable. Far out. I need a coffee, real bad. I'm not feeling too well today, so just bear with me. Caught a bit of a chill last couple of nights as the change of weather. I'm so sensitive. Anyway, Fable 2, I think, expands upon that a great deal more. And I was really enjoying playing my Fable 2 recently. I've never played it before until a few months ago. I say a few months ago, but it's probably more like halfway through last year. It just feels so recent. Anyway, the backwards compatibility on that game seems to be a bit buggy. The game kept crashing on me at multiple instances, and I just gave up on it eventually, but I was enjoying it. Maybe I'll go back to it at some point. I was getting pretty good money on that game, and I was doing quite well. Anyway, Fable 3, I actually did try. Oddly, I skipped 2 and went back to play Fable 3 because I got it for free on Xbox Live Gold. games with gold one time, and I started it, and I was like, nah, this isn't my thing. There's too many mechanics in it, and they started going into the more like industrial revolution type British stuff. Like they time skipped some hundreds of years or whatever in the story, and it just didn't feel as Fable as I remembered it. And yeah, I just couldn't get into it basically, so I just stopped playing it. So what do I think of the series as a whole? I mean, I'm one of the people that didn't really care much for Fable 3, clearly, as I've just said. But I think the first game was very, very good. Like, it's very simple, very basic, but I think they executed what they were trying to do very well. Fable 2 is probably the better of the three. So if I had to say, just from my experience from the three games, if you were to start the game, try the Fable anniversary of the first game. It's on 360, I think it's on Game Pass, so you may as well give it a go. I do recommend playing it. It's quite good. If you enjoy British humour, then you know it'll be right up your alley for that. But otherwise, it's a cool story, all that kind of stuff. Done. Hopefully that answers your question. So that's Ask Chunt for today. Nice. Cool. So we're moving on to Mortal Kombat now. So I saw this last night. Yeah, I'm just trying to think of the right way to start this. I started a different way when I did the previous recording, but look, I'm just going to say off the bat, it doesn't hold a candle to the 95 film in a lot of ways, but this one does better in being Mortal Kombat than that one did in some ways. Like it's hard to, I'm trying not to compare the two movies because they are vastly different experiences and vastly different creatures, but I think one is far superior in a lot of ways than the other. This Mortal Kombat 2021 version, let's just start with the positives and I can get through the negatives later, and then we can just, nut it out from there. So I really dug the tone of this movie and the vibe that it was going for. I think it just nailed what it was trying to do, and I think that was the right way to go. Its R rating in Australia, I think, was very warranted. There's a lot of blood, a lot of gore and fatalities. Some of the setup for some of the fatalities was very sudden. There wasn't a lot of build up, which is what I liked. I already said I'm not going to try to compare the two movies, but what I liked about 95 Mortal Kombat was there's a lot of setup and lead up to every fight that happened, so it added weight to each conflict, and they were handled in such a more what's the word I'm looking for? Each fight in the first movie had more gravitas, I will say, than this one did. This one, they don't really have the one-on-one fights till the very end of the movie. Throughout, it's just like scraps after scraps together and multiple characters or whatever, and they do a special move and you're like, ooh, that's a special move, that kind of stuff throughout the movie. But the characters looked on point though, for all the stuff I'm joking about throughout this review. The characters looked on point to very Mortal Kombat X, or Mortal Kombat 10, however you want to go about it. But I think that lends to how long this has been in development for, because this has been delayed a couple times. And pre-production usually starts on movies a year or two in advance or more before they actually start, filming. So that would line up to around Mortal Kombat X. So let me just bring up some supporting material here. So this is the posters that you can see, that you've probably seen online and all this kind of stuff. And this is what I'm saying about the Mortal Kombat X aesthetic. So Sub-Zero and Scorpion look right out of that game, and even a mixture of MK11, but everyone else looks like they've just taken notes from the character design from Mortal Kombat X. I really did like that game. That game had a very visceral and dirty and like gritty kind of vibe and atmosphere to the game, which really came onto this movie. So I think in that aspect they've really nailed that. I enjoyed that aspect of the movie. I'm going to butcher these names, but Max Huang, or Huang, I think you say his last name, the guy that plays Kung Lao, and Ludi Lin's Liu Kang. I think these guys in particular, I think they could have been the shining light of the film had the script been completely different. These two should have been the focus of the movie with Raiden. That would have lent a very strong camaraderie between the three. We would have learnt more about Raiden and these two. You don't really get time to know any of the characters in this movie. This is kind of verging to negative, but you can see how quickly I've gone from talking about positives to negatives here. But yeah, those three should have been the focus of the film, not Cole Young. No one cares about Cole Young. He's not in any of the other games. There's plenty of other characters to pull from the roster in the Mortal Kombat series. Why did you have to introduce another one? It was totally unnecessary. Liu Kang, they should have done the Liu Kang like they did in the last one. Liu Kang could have been our eyes to the world. He's the one that everybody knows besides Scorpion and Sub-Zero. Anyway, whatever. My opinion doesn't mean shit now the movie's out anyway. But yeah, so where are we? Back to this one. Where am I going? The visual effects on this movie was a standout, I think, in a lot of ways, because the movie didn't have the biggest budget, right? And I expected to see some quite questionable choices made as far as how they did some things in this movie, but I was blown away by what they managed to pull out of the movie. A lot of the visual effects is in like the last half of it, or pretty much the last half of the movie, last 40 minutes even, when all the shit starts going down. And it all looks really good. Like, they just pumped in the resources to those areas, and like Goro looked great. Not a spoiler, he's in the trailer. A lot of that you've seen it in the trailer is that lizard thing. I'm pretty sure it's reptiles, not said by name, but he looked great. All the fire from Liu Kang looked great. Kung Lao's like special teleport stuff looked cool. All that stuff looked great. The Jax's arms looked wicked. They looked real, at least from what I was seeing on screen. So everything looked cool, man. I really enjoyed all that. Some of the cinematography was great. Like, you see the shot in the trailer of Liu Kang coming over the sands and the sun behind him and the sunset. It looks just awesome. It's such a wicked shot. It's an iconic shot. I mean, you could make a poster out of that. I'd buy that. And a lot of the establishing shots were really great. I mean, locations they chose for this this movie was just stunning. Like, I was like, wow, where the hell is that? I've never seen that. A lot of this was filmed in Australia, I think, and I was like, well, what the hell is that? Never seen that before. Already mentioned the action was solid, I think, from when it happens. Like, it's so like, oh, there's a fight, and oh, it's gone. Oh, look, they're going to fight. Oh, no, I mean, that looked cool, but it's done already. All right, no worries. It was just very like fast-paced stuff. You don't get time to kind of live in the fights like the 95 one. I keep going back to it, but I mean, you got to say, I mean, I'm going to make a point of it at the end here, but whatever. Positives. Opening sequence of the movie was great. They released that online before the movie even came out, which I disagree with. I don't know why he did that, but it got a lot of people talking anyway, so I guess that's why. But I didn't watch it. I wanted to save myself. For the first time watching this movie. And I'm glad I did, because that whole first sequence really set the conflict between Hanzo Hasashi and Bihan from the rival clans, Scorpion and Sub-Zero, respectively. And that was great. And then it ended. It was good until it finished. And the whole movie felt totally different. The following scene just was like, whoa, hang on a minute. Is this the same movie? It just tonally felt different and started verging on like TV movie-esque areas, but otherwise it was a great opening scene. I think a lot of people might feel the same way, but I'm seeing a lot of mix. It's like 50-50 on this movie online, but anyway, it's Simon McQuaid. I don't know how you say his last name, but it's his first feature film, and I think it shows. It's very raw, and I mean, that might lend well to the property of Mortal Kombat and the story that's being told. And I mean, it's always been a visceral experience, but if the recent games are anything to go by, if you look at the production value going back from MK9, like, yeah, some of it looks a lot, the character models look janky as hell and everything, but the story and the way it's told cinematically is great. MKX, they improved greatly on their graphic engine, but the faces still look janky as hell. But the story that's being told and the way it's told very cinematically, you go, wow, imagine doing a movie like this. And then MK11 comes out, like, holy crap, man, they've really stepped this up. Everything looks stunning. It's just a stunning engine, and like the facial capture just looks amazing. So you're just like, God, man, I'd love to see this on the big screen, but I think they did a good job with what they had to work with. Not the biggest budget, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, I'm finding it very hard to keep positive points now because I keep veering into negatives. So this is the kind of vibe that I'm saying. Like, you're going, yeah, Mortal Kombat, yeah, sweet. Oh, hang on a minute. No, that's kind of how I felt in this movie. So we'll just start with the negatives because I don't have any more positives there. There are zero iconic fights. Zero iconic fights. Like if you go back and watch the 95 movie, that had it in spades, man. Like the it doesn't hand. Oh man, this movie doesn't hold a candle to that movie at all. Like if you go back and watch the Mortal Kombat 95 movie, the Sub-Zero versus Liu Kang fight, man, that whole set piece, like it's well thought out, well performed, well choreographed. Like everything was set up well, and the fights are great. That you felt every punch. The Luke Cage versus Luke Cage? Well, not Luke Cage, Johnny Cage and Scorpion fight, in NetherRealm. In the forest, they start fighting in the forest, and there's all that weird stuff, and he jumps through the Scorpion's teleportation like residue and appears in NetherRealm. They have this big fight and stuff. Get down here, all that kind of stuff. Like that, there's nothing like that got me going. And at the end, Liu Kang versus Shang Tsung. At the end, like that is just like the score and the way it's paced. You felt every punch, like all that kind of stuff, and the payoff was there. All that movie had everything going for it besides the fatalities and the gore, but you didn't care so much because of the execution. So when I go back to saying this movie didn't have any iconic fight scenes that made me leave the cinema going, God damn, like, oh, you remember that? Or I'd be talking to myself because I went by myself, but I didn't leave the cinema going, God damn, man, like, wow, that fight scene. None of it was replaying in my head. None of it. Even the final fight in the movie, I was like, okay, no worries. I guess that's what this is. I mean, I don't want to spoil it, but I didn't feel a sense of like completion in this movie. Giggity. Yeah, and all the fights that happened, they were so chopped up, man. Chopped up and rushed. None of them had any of the impact that I thought I was going to get in this. Like, the fatalities just happened. They were good, and the way they did the fatalities looked great, but they just happened. There was no kind of build-up. There's no kind of, what's going to happen here? Or, how are they going to do this? Like, there's none of that. It's just like punch, chop, cut cut camera angle, kick, whatever. Growl, fatality. And that's kind of, you just rinse and repeat that for every fight that happens in this movie. So yeah, I was just like, all right, whatever. That was cool. No worries. The score of the movie is very generic. Just, you don't even know it's there half the time. And when it does kind of rise up above everything, you're like, oh, okay. Oh, that was there, I guess. So yeah, and a lot of the actors in the movie were green, like very green. Joe Taslim, I just totally missed a point in my positive. Joe Taslim Sub-Zero was the beast of the movie. Like, he was the most imposing threat out of everyone. Even above Chin Han's Shang Tsung was an absolute joke. Didn't feel threatening at all. He was very Saturday morning cartoon. Just like, whatever. When they cast him as Shang Tsung, I was like, nah, don't buy it. Don't buy it at all. And represented on screen, I felt validated. But yeah, Sub-Zero was the guy that you just didn't want to get tracked down with. Every time he popped up on screen, you're like, oh God, you felt his presence. You're like, yeah, okay. You can understand why these guys should be running from him. Really, really enjoyed that. He was the highlight of the whole movie. I don't know why I'm bringing that up in my negatives, but it just came after me when I was talking about things. Green actors. I haven't heard of him before, and I think he was very new to acting, whatever. He might have been like a fight choreographer or a fighter or something on other properties. And much like the guy that plays Cole Young, God, his name escaped me. I did write it down. Anyway, the guy that plays Lewis, I think it's Lewis Tan or something from memory. He's the guy on screen at the bottom there. He was just, a fight choreographer and stunt person. But they said, let's get you on screen. I mean, he's a handsome looking fella, why wouldn't he? And he's built like a brick shithouse. And he looks good in the part, but no one gives a shit about Cole Young. All the other actors, whatever. Some of them were hit or miss. This is a prequel to the actual tournament too, by the way. I'm not going to bother saying, spoiler warning, because I'm just warning you now. If you haven't seen it, just know that this is a prequel. That I didn't know that going into the movie. And when it started getting to the very end of the movie, I was like, all right, when's I felt like, well, the runtime's kind of running along here, so when's the tournament happening? And it just doesn't. And I was like, oh, what? Are you fucking kidding me? Oh, okay. No worries then. I felt a bit cheated, to be honest. Had I known that going in, I would have been a bit more prepared for what I was expecting. But yeah, I was pretty let down about that. And you don't feel like you get to know any of the characters at all. Any of them. I walked out of this movie going, well, I mean, I saw them on screen doing things, but I don't relate to any of them, and I don't understand any of their motivations. I understand this is an action movie, Paramount, but I mean, you got to kind of at least make you care about the lead or care about some of the main characters. I didn't care for them. I just didn't really attach to them. Whereas the 95 movie had personality in buckets. You know, you felt the camaraderie between Liu Kang and Johnny Cage and Sonya Blade and all that. Like, and Raiden was also, like, he had a presence in that movie that you believed that he was Lord Raiden, you know. Whereas, you know, some of these other guys, these actors in this movie, like Josh Lawson's Kano, he was funny, right? He was, at first was like, oh, cool, they nailed Kano, no worries. But then, you know, it's just, he keeps doing that same thing over and over, the same, like, he says the same thing multiple times, or the same insults, or the same retorts, or the same kind of throwaway lines, and in the same execution, the same delivery. And I was like, all right, look, it was funny the first few times, but all right, like, I get what you are now, and it's annoying me. You're just that. You know, maybe too much Kano. I don't know. He did play it well. Like, he did. You can tell he was enjoying himself with it, and he did have some genuine, like, laughs. Like, the crowd that I was in, the people in the cinema that weren't me. You know, there were some laughs in the cinema when he was doing whatever he was doing. So I guess he did well, more above some of the others, that's for sure. Jessica McNamee, Sonya Blade, didn't really have anything to do. She was just there to exposition to Cole Young. And she was useless for the rest of the movie after that. Pretty much sidelined. Whatever. I think they could have had a better actress choice as well. I mean, it could have just been what she was given, but I didn't really believe her as Sonya Blade. Like this you know, war person. This person that goes to war and fights, and, you know, the combative, almost like champion. You know, I didn't believe any of that. Whatever, she just felt like a kind of a pushover, throwaway military person, but whatever. And the way that they explain their superpowers in this. So for those of you who aren't familiar with Mortal Kombat, which you probably should be because it's awesome and the lore is great, but everyone has their own unique gimmicks, so to speak. Everyone has their own unique powers or abilities or martial arts, or you know, like flame fists for Liu Kang, or lightning from Raiden, or freeze powers by Sub-Zero, or blah blah blah. Everybody has that kind of stuff, but the way they explain how they get those in this movie pissed me right off to the point where it makes none of them unique. They're not special, they're not them. Like, it's like your rent a service, like you're just renting some powers, you know. I can't really explain it without spoiling it, but you'll see it when it happens, and it's just such like a plot device that I was taken away from it. I was like, wow, no. Part of the appeal is all these characters have learned their skills, or they've trained hard to gain their abilities without needing a MacGuffin to get them. I thought that was a real underservice to the characters and the story that they're trying to tell. Yeah, you can do the Chosen One story with Cole, like he's the chosen one for whatever reason no one cares about, but he's only special because of the birthmark, and you can see that in the trailer that some other people have that same mark on them. Yeah, but they didn't have it by birth, you know. So I'm kind of leading into some spoiler territory there, but that thing is the worst part of the movie, I think. It's just a bad plot device to get them as a reason to fight. They could have done it a completely different way, but anyway. Chin Han Shang Sun, I think I don't know if I just mentioned it before, but yeah, total joke, not threatening, very Saturday morning cartoon, whatever. When I saw who they cast in the role as him, I was like, yeah, nah, I don't buy it at all. Like, he's a cool actor and everything, don't get me wrong, but he doesn't look like he can kick my ass. Whereas Kari Hiroyuki Tagawa, God, I hope I said that right, from the 95 movie, just presence in spades. You know, he just has to sit there and look at you and look at the characters and you know, all right, don't mess with that dude. That is Shang Tsung. Let's just walk away now, shall we? God, Tadanobu Asano's Raiden. God, I hope I said that right. I've seen him in other movies and he's great, but man, he didn't have anything good to work with in this movie. He was barely in it. This is Lord Raiden, right? He's the guy that guards Earthrealm, you know, the god of lightning, all that kind of stuff. And, you know, he trains or he builds up Kung Lao and Liu Kang in the lore. And he's a big part of the protection of Earthrealm. You get introduced to him in the most minimal way. And he just comes off as an asshole. He doesn't really command like respect, or he doesn't walk and speak with gravitas or anything like that. You're just like, all right, I don't like this guy. No worries, thanks for that. And I think that's a failure on the script. There's a lot of script problems in this. There are a lot of choices they made in this movie I just strongly disagree with. Also, Warner Brothers had a 2-hour mandate for this movie again. We saw what happened with the Justice League, right? I don't want to get into that whole argument, but this 2-hour mandate that Warner Brothers is sticking to is just not good. Yeah, you can make movies under 2 hours, but when your primary script or your primary ideal was longer than 2 hours, and then you come in and say, no, cut it down to 2, you're causing problems and pacing issues. And some actors have come out on Twitter saying like, yeah, I was pretty disappointed in seeing my fight was cut. Or yeah, I'm pretty disappointed to see how short that fight is now. Or, you know, all this kind of stuff. There was a lot cut out from some of the actors that have been, you know, responding to some fans online. It's just more of the same from Warner Brothers. Like, what are you doing? Like, just let the movie... It's a pandemic, man. No one's going to the movies. Why bother with a 2-hour mandate? It's not like you're trying to shove millions of people through a cinema to get multiple plays during the day. It's on HBO Max and streaming. You know, I went to a theater and there was like 5 or 6 people in there at 5 o'clock in the afternoon on a Saturday. You know, it's not like you're trying to push people through a rotation circuit to get many plays. Give that extra half an hour, you bastards. Like, my God, this movie could have done with an extra half an hour. I'm not going to lie. And it felt like it too. There were so many cuts that were very jarring. I'm like, well, that felt off. You know, and just fights were cut short, or fatalities were cut short, or, you know, just frames here or there were a bit jarring, or I don't know. It didn't flow well to me, and it felt like something was off. And that makes sense now that I've seen that from, you know, the actors themselves. Anyway, so look, that's my thought about the whole thing. Those are the points that I thought I'd just nut down when I was thinking about the movie. And yeah, look, it's overall kind of verging on disappointment for me. I think that there's enough in there to kind of rewatch. You know, if you had nothing better to do or nothing to watch, I'll probably still pick it up on Blu-ray because I'm a sucker and I like Mortal Kombat. And I mean, it's flashy. The action is good when it's there. The fatalities look great. Some of the characters look on point, some don't. Yeah, if you don't care about acting, then you're not going to be too bothered by this. This isn't going to change your life, and Mortal Kombat's not going to do that. Like, you're not going to walk into this movie expecting to see like Shawshank Redemption or Schindler's List or whatever. Like, just go in expecting, all right, this is an action movie. There's fights and blood in it. Cool, go. You know, if that's all you want, then you're going to be having a good time. I did have a good time, not going to lie, but I had hopes for something extra out of this. I really did. Anyway, let me know what you think. Have you seen it? I didn't spoil anything, don't get me wrong. Besides the fact that this is a prequel, there's no mid or after credit scene, so don't bother sitting behind the credits. When the credits started to roll, it just ended, and I was like, oh, maybe there's something else, and I just did a quick browser search and like that, and I just got out. There's nothing. So yeah, this is the prequel. There's no tournament. No, I just thought that was a misstep. Had I known that going in, I probably wouldn't have seen it. To be honest, like it's Mortal Kombat. I don't need to see a setup to Mortal Kombat. Whatever. They said Mortal Kombat once or twice because of a marking on a wall. Yay. Justified. Anyway, I know that was a bit all over the place, but my cold and flu tablets are kicking in. So I'm a bit delirious right now. Anyway, so next, let's talk about a studio and a company that's competent, that lets their creators and directors you know, make what they want to put on screen. Even if they do have to follow a mandate, they're allowed to actually complete it, you know, and make it something that's consumable and enjoyable for everyone, even the fans. Funny that. So what I'm talking about, for those of you who are unaware completely of what I'm referring to, that is the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I just finished that recently. The last episode came out, and excellent series. I've really enjoyed it. It is far and beyond better than WandaVision. I did not enjoy WandaVision at all. Like it had way too many episodes for what it was trying to do, way too much filler, just crap, just didn't need to be there. It could have been 6 episodes or 4 or something, you know, they still could have gotten the same, but you wouldn't have got the same speak online, which, I don't know, ultimately that series was a disappointment to me. But this one, man, it was a tighter experience. It was 6 episodes, it wasn't 10, didn't need to be 10, so I'm glad that they kept it at, was it 6 or 7 episodes? Yeah, it was a very tight experience, very well paced. I think it was some of the best TV I've seen recently. Really enjoyed this series. The Captain Marvel, God, I washed my friggin' mouth out. The Captain America side of the MCU is my favorite part of the MCU. The whole story of Steve Rogers going through all the way through the Endgame, and now this is my favorite corner of this story that they're trying to tell for the MCU. So I went in already kind of being geared up to enjoy it, and you know, there were some things I didn't like about it, but overall I was like, yeah, that's great. I'll have some more of that, thanks. Yeah, the final episode in particular was just pure Marvel crack, you know, albeit a bit on a lighter budget. Like, you can tell the budget, you know, some of it was a bit shaky with some of the stuff they tried to do, but they pumped a lot in that last episode, and it was great. It was really, really cool. I'm not going to try and spoil anything here if you haven't seen it. I recommend watching that series, even if you're not really a fan of, you know, the Falcon or Winter Soldier. Like, it's a good show. It's a good story. A lot of character development. A lot of it's dark. You know, it's not your Marvel like popcorn bright colors affair. Like, there's a lot of dark scenes in it and dark subject matter, and man, I really enjoyed it. I was like, damn, there was even some scenes in this I was like, damn, are they doing this in a Disney thing? Or, you know, this is a bit rough for Marvel, right? Like, some of the kids are going to be watching this, and I was like, wow, all right, you know, I appreciated that and respected the show for doing that. I didn't expect any of that. I thought it was going to be just your standard PG kind of Marvel thing, but some of it verged on a bit dark, and I was like, damn, you know, I'll have more of that. Thank you. Yeah, the new suit. I accidentally made the mistake of in my glee of the final episode, I put a picture of Sam Wilson in the suit that he gets at the end of the series. Of like, yeah, I really like the show, blah blah, and a couple of people were like, oh well, thanks for spoiling it, Chunt. I was like, oh shit, you know, I thought I was behind people. I watched it the day after, whatever, and you know, I thought everybody would have seen it by now, but anyway, so I got rid of it. So I'm not going to be putting that here. I took that down and reposted it with something else. But anyway, the suit that he gets, man, like when you first see it, like, oh wow, and then you're like, well, wow, that looks a bit cheesy, but it does grow on you pretty quick, and Anthony Mackie, he wears it very well. You buy it. You know, at first when you get past the wow, that's straight out of the comics. I remember seeing that from the comic books, and it looks good, but then it's like, well, it does look a bit cheesy, but and then you're like, no, that's cool. I really like that. You know, particularly when he gets the wings and the shield happening and stuff. It's like, wow, okay, now I understand. I never understood in the comics when they made Sam Wilson Captain America. You know, it's pre-established lore. I'm not spoiling anything here, and you should have seen it coming. But when I've seen it now in live action, I'm like, oh, and how they handled it in the series, I'm like, oh, now I understand. Like, I buy that, and I can't wait to see more, right? I want to see more of John Walker. I think I've got a picture here. Yeah. I want to see more of John Walker, man. I think he was the best part of the series. My favorite part was him, and how he came into this boys club, basically, of he's the outsider. You know, how dare you what's that meme? How dare you stand where you stood or whatever? You know, taking up the mantle of Captain America and pissing everyone off, and you know he just wanted to do the right thing, but nobody wanted it, and he got a power trip and ended up ruining that legacy for himself. But you see what happens to him in the series, and I think his journey is just very interesting, and I think it's the strongest part. It outshines the others, I think. Besides Sam Wilson, I think Sam Wilson to a point was almost just overshadowed by a lot of stuff. But then towards like the last 2 or 3 episodes, really just rose up and it became his story. But overall, I want to see more John Walker and see what they do with him. I think he's very compelling. Like he's just a guy, who's always done what the government says, because he's loyal to the military and loyal to the code, and he's that kind of military guy, that America wants, or the government of America wants, to be. He spent his life trying to be what they wanted him to be, and that kind of stuff, and evidently they failed him. But throughout the course of the series, you see who picks him up and what's to come. Oh, I can't wait to see that. I just think it just throws a very dark horse element into this story. Captain America, like Steve Rogers, was all the hopeful kind of do the right thing, kind of guy, and he's the antithesis to that. I find that very compelling. And yes, I am talking about a Marvel property and a Marvel thing. God damn, I never thought I'd be talking about a Marvel thing in this light. But anyway, the Sam speech at the very end of this series in the last episode, it was a very like of the moment reflection on current year, handled with care, and I felt it avoided being too on the nose. Like it almost went there, but I felt the message that they were trying to say. And they were using this platform that they have to say it. I enjoyed that, and it's a good message for kids to have shown to them, because there's just so much crap these days, so much that is going on in entertainment that is just garbage. It's just perversion and everything. Whereas this had like a very positive message to be said about the world as a whole, but not just the particular people, but the world and the circumstance that we're in. And the way that Anthony Mackie did it, I really enjoyed. I've kind of been a bit hard on Anthony Mackie in recent years, of like, I don't really like the character too much. I think he's just a bit boring, but this show has proven me otherwise. And Anthony Mackie's ability, he's a bit of an ego in interviews, but when he really wants to put it on, he can put it on. Even in some of his other movies, he's excellent. But I really enjoyed that scene, and everyone kind of just, even like Bucky was like, kind of accepted it. Like, this is how it's meant to be. I haven't spoiled anything there. Like, you just need to watch it and see it for yourself. I really, really enjoyed it. And just without saying too much about the series, the flag smashes were hopeless. I hated them. Like, not because the story wanted to instill that emotion in me, but I just thought they were just useless. I didn't buy them at all. The main chick, I can't remember her name, but man, I didn't believe her as a threat at all. Just, I don't know if that's just the fault of the actress or what, but yeah, the flag smashes were just, I didn't feel threatened by them at all. Really, really didn't. And I think they could have had a stronger plot thread there, or at least if they actually made them do things that you're like, damn, you shouldn't be doing that. And they only started really doing that in the last couple episodes. You're like, all right, now she's getting a bit desperate and unhinged. But before then, I was like, whatever, I don't buy it at all. She didn't look like she was kicking anyone's ass. She never really had like a one-on-one that made me go, all right, yeah, don't mess with her. Like, it's all just flippity floppity, and she was out of there. Didn't really do anything. Anyway, so that's my just general thoughts on that series overall. Very positive. I recommend watching it. It's probably something I would even buy on Blu-ray. I have all the other things that the other MCU Blu-rays that are about Steve Rogers and his Captain America line. They're the only ones that I bother buying. So if they put this out, I'll probably buy it, because this leads directly into my next point. The day after this came out, the day after this series finished, Disney and Marvel announced a Captain America 4, in the works, or is coming. I don't think it's because of the final episode. I think they've had that announcement in the waits the whole time. but it just goes to show how well oiled and prepared that engine is over there at Marvel. My God. You know, I was like, yes, I'll take more of that, because it opens the door to see more of John Walker. Potentially Steve Rogers can like have a scene, and just to see what Sam does and where Bucky ends up. You know, all that kind of stuff is all in the power broker. Like, what happens there? There's so many plot threads left from this series that I'm like, yeah, sign me up. I'll watch a Captain America 4. Yes, please. God, that's what you do, man. Like, just to really hammer it home here. Warner Brothers, what the hell are you doing? Like, seriously, what are you doing? I don't understand your apparatus, whatever the hell you're thinking about doing. Marvel over there is leagues beyond your reactionary nonsense. I can't believe it. I really don't. You've been like this for the better part of a decade now. Marvel's like consistently giving fans what they want, and then embracing that and giving them more. You know, even if something doesn't work, it's as if they take the feedback and make the next thing better for it. Funny that. Why would they do that? I don't know, because money, and they're keeping your fans happy that are paying all the friggin' bills. You, on the other hand, Warner Brothers, oh my God, you're going out of your way for years now, taking it away from every one of your fans. You're taking everything away from them, and doing almost nothing that they want. You know, your upcoming slate of DC and Warner Brothers properties is not appealing to me at all. Really, nothing. I'm half excited to see Dr. Fate, but that's in a Rock movie or a Black Adam movie. You say you're developing a Blue Beetle movie, but we'll see if that ever happens. But I don't care. I mean, your Green Lantern thing could be cool, but the way you've handled Green Lantern and removed him from the Zack Snyder's Justice League, I'm a bit salty on that. I don't trust you to do that right either. You know, and the way that you've handled the current DCU legacy so far is just like, well, everyone that's been a fan so far, you just want to shove them away and just remove them and just let them talk amongst themselves and protest in relative silence off to the side, even though they're noisy as hell. And we're just going to go do something else. Yeah, by fans that let us start the thing. And you know you've got a problem when Ben Affleck's walked away, when he was your golden boy, and he's like, I don't want to put up with this shit. I'm out. You know, and Henry Cavill's gone silent. Gal Gadot, you know, I mean, Wonder Woman brought her career back thanks to Zack Snyder. She was almost on the verge of quitting acting until then. So, of course, she's happy to do Wonder Woman while it's still successful, but I guarantee you she has no faith in Warner Brothers either, considering Wonder Woman 84 wasn't supposed to be how it was meant to be. That's a whole other story. Oh, my God. Look, I mean, I don't know if you've noticed, but I sold my Superman statue back there. It's not there anymore. It's not there anymore. Let me just go full screen for a moment. Yeah, Superman's no longer back there. I mean, I've had that statue for a decade, I think. Better part of 10 years, yeah. And I sold it just earlier last week or so. Because, you know, I've got Transformers to get. So that's why all the Transformers are there, because I'm enjoying that now. But I was going to keep that Superman statue, but I'm just like, well, I have no faith in DC. Even your comics in DC Comics have been crap for the last 5 years, because you keep giving them to like SJW, like certified Twitter people that really have no purpose of writing these characters, and you've alienated an entire fan base. I've been a near lifelong DC Comics fan, and I don't want anything to do with you. So like, get your act together, man. Like, I'm not saying I'm going to jump ship to Marvel anytime soon. Like, I do like Marvel. There's aspects of Marvel that I like, but DC's always been my comics home base. All those characters I grew up with, and I still love those characters. But the way you just totally dismantled everything. I just don't want anything to do with it. I'm just saying, like, I'm not jumping ship. I'm saying I just think we should see other people. I think we should see other people for a while. This is a breakup. Oh man, oh Jesus, far out. I couldn't believe it. I mean, I was enjoying Falcon Winter Soldier. Yeah, that was good. I'm keen to see what they do next. And then they announced that, yeah, we're doing a movie next. you know, and it got less numbers than One Division, man. Like One Division was a monumental like traffic thing around, you know, conversations and on the internet and YouTube, and I haven't seen half of the traffic that Falcon Winter Soldier got, and it's getting a movie greenlit. What? Oh, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't get it. I just have to laugh at it. Warner Brothers, you're just freaking hopeless. I want nothing to do with whatever you're doing. Like, I'm happy just to get my Zack Snyder's Justice League Blu-ray. I might even pick up the Steelbook for it and just put those movies on a shelf and go, that was a fun, interesting time in life. And just, you know, wipe my hands with it. And I wish all the actors well in their future endeavors. The Flash movie, I mean, that's going to just be an absolute mess. I have no faith in that. Ezra Miller, I mean, good on you for getting your movie finally made, but I mean, you just know that that's your last bit. I don't see another Wonder Woman happening. Henry Cavill, I don't think he even cares. I think he's holding out for like a better contract. He's got more stuff on the go right now than he probably gives a shit with The Witcher going on. And he's still in line for James Bond, and who knows, man. Ben Affleck's Ben Affleck. He can almost do whatever the hell he wants. He doesn't really need to do anything anyway. And blah blah blah. You know, it's just you blew it. You know, you shat the bed, and now you're trying to make a new one. I don't know if I want to be there for it. So that's my rant. I said this was going to be a short one, but it's just over 45 minutes now. So, oh boy, Marvel, just keep doing what you're doing, man. I mean, your fans, I mean, they're there for you, and you're there for them. You know, just keep going, and I'll just sit there and be like, yep, I'll say if it's good or not for me, and that'll be it. But anyway, look, that's it for today. I'm gonna go lie down. The cold and flu tablets are starting to really kick in now, anyway. But yeah, so hopefully you enjoyed the show. I'm sorry if I wasn't as coherent this time. I'm just not well at the moment. So anyway, if you want to follow me on all my stuff, as I mentioned at the top of the show, I mean, you can see all the links there, unclechunt.com, or just Uncle Chunt on those socials there. And hopefully you guys are keeping safe and well and doing things that keep you happy. In the meantime, I'm going to hope this works this time.
And may the power protect you.
Till all are one. Bumblebee tuna.
Yes, indeed. Cool. I'll see you later. See you next week. And all that. I thought I should have just ended it. I was going to say something else, but I really don't have anything to say. So I don't know why I keep saying that I'm going to do it.
Like, comment, subscribe.